Good morning. I'm Sarah Clancy with Equity Real Estate.
And I'm JC Colton with Veritas Funding.
And we'd like to welcome you to the set of XYZ,
SLC,
your weekly talk about real estate, mortgage in Utah in general, and Salt Lake County and the surrounding counties.
Yeah, we're excited.
So one thing I was going to say, and we need to make sure we make the right introductions, right?
Yeah.
JC and I have known each other for, how old are you?
26.
So about 26 years, 25 and a half years. So we go way back. Her mom is my bestie since first grade, and it's just really cool. It's really cool. It's been really neat to see you grow up, but also, I mean, obviously to work with you as a professional and just see just how awesome you are and good at what you do is just like really cool. So
thank you. I love that. I love having you. I know that you're my mom's best friend, but it's also like you're an aunt to me, which is really nice. So I just love that.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I love working with you. I feel like it's the
appreciate that.
perfect, the perfect group.
Was that such a Gen X?
No, I like it. No, I like it.
What it?
Kapow!
Yeah, with the explode. Okay, so we bridged the gap between generations, right here.
Yeah, exactly.
At least I didn't do this.
I don't think I would have. It's like,
totally, like, you so know that somebody is like older than a millennial when it's like, hey, good job.
Hey, good job.
Yeah, the reason why we named our weekly talk about mortgage and real estate XYZ is because JC is, I guess you'd call an elder Gen Z. Probably in her going into her later 20s, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I am, I would say, baby Gen X, like end of the Gen X, and of course we've got Y in the middle, millennials, a lot of our friends and family, and then of course my older sisters. They're Gen X, but you know, my oldest sister, she's 60, 61, 62, so that really does play into, don't you think? It plays into the real estate market. How does that affect, you know, do you see that at all in your mortgage, in the mortgage world, or do you think it's more dealing with the housing?
I feel like it's more of the housing, but at the same time, you know, we have a lot of people that want to go under contract on these houses, these older houses, and they need to updating. They haven't been updated, and I think that's where the market has, you know, kind of hit the younger generations, because not only are we now having to pay and fight for a purchase price or a sales price, we have to now go update everything, which is also more expensive. So it's just a...
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because actually just recently the 2024 Realtor Housing Forecast came out. I love getting this magazine from the Realtor Association just because it has such current information. And one of the articles was younger buyers want baby boomers to update their homes. Yep. And I think it just really hits, you know, obviously we're not going to go into the whole article, but it really hits on, you know, the kind of the crisis, and people are worried. The younger generations are worried that the older generations that maybe haven't updated their home in 30, 40, 50 years even, which I love a mid-century home for sure, but the idea would be that they haven't been updated, and you move in and then there's this cost of updating all of your systems, or I mean, cosmetic is one thing, right? But updating the actual systems of the house is a big deal. And I would imagine like your friends and your age group, that's a big concern.
Yeah, and it's a big cost, because you're like, where am I do I have to take out another loan?
Right.
Or, you know, do I have to get a HELOC in order to do that? I think it would be good if they did update a little bit.
Update your home.
Update your homes.
As much as you can. Just make sure it works. And I think we've been blessed with kind of a mild winter.
Yes.
It was my first winter back here, you know. It's my first winter back here in 12, 13 years. Like my first real Utah winter in 12 or 13 years. Yeah. And it took it easy on me. Like really easy on me.
I know, let's just cross our fingers that it just stays like this for just a little bit longer, and then spring.
Yeah, I would get text messages from my family last year about just the kind of sometimes horror show of snow that we had last year, and I wasn't super excited for it, but it's been been pretty mild and
Yeah,
easing me in a little bit.
it was pretty spooky, scary last year for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Up at Suncrest.
Suncrest is, not the best place to live in the winter. I will admit they've got good trails, hikes, and everything up there in the summer and spring, fall. But the winter is the worst, I would have to say.
Yeah.
Don't recommend.
I'm a warm weather girl.
Nice houses.
Yeah.
So,
So, JC, if I'm working with a first-time home buyer and they're not pre-qualified for a mortgage yet, what would be kind of the steps that you would take to help walk them through that process, and maybe what programs, just a little bit, would you have in general that might fit them?
Yeah, so the beginning process is, income. We got to figure out what their income is, see what they can actually get qualified for. And then I like to look at the programs that we offer. So I really like using Utah Housing. I think there's a few options in there that we can use. They have grants, down payment assistance. There are a few income limits depending on the county. I know that for first home, which is a lower interest rate, they have an income limit from $101,000 to $127,000 in the Utah counties.
Okay.
All of the Utah counties. And then FHA-VA has a income limit for all counties of just $141,400.
That's the limit that they can make to qualify under that. Okay.
Yep. And it's household income. So,
Right.
even if your wife or your husband makes a little bit of money on the side, we have to count that income.
Total household income. No, that's really helpful. And I think that probably the best thing would be for them to come and just meet with you and see what would be the best program and kind of how they would qualify, so that they can have that pre-qualification letter and go out and make offers on homes with their agent, whoever that may be, to just know that they can make that offer and not have to guess whether they qualify for it or not.
And and I like to go over the how much the payment would kind of be. I like to enter in some information and just see if they're comfortable with that.
Okay.
Because I always want to make sure that they're comfortable with the payment that they're going to have.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
that's so important. I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? I mean, being able to month to month afford your house, not just be able to qualify on paper, but be able to live the life that you're wanting to live while you're living there.
Exactly.
So, no, that's awesome.
Something with the Utah Housing First Time Home Program is there is a $20,000 grant right now. So they give you your 3.5% down payment, and then you can get an additional $20,000 grant, but it has to be a new build, not occupied before, and it has to be under the max sales price is $450,000.
So the max sales price, so this is for first-time home buyers.
This is first-time home buyers.
The max sales price is $450,000, and it has to be new construction that no one's ever lived in before, and it's a $20,000 grant. So they still have their regular first mortgage with 3.5% down, but then the $20,000 grant can go toward buying their rate down or paying their closing costs. And can that, is that, they don't have to repay that?
No, they don't have to repay that unless they move out of the house.
So there's some stipulations
there are some
of
stipulations,
owner occupied and how long they have to live there, and they just have to make sure at the time when they apply that they talk to you about that and they get all the details.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I could fill them in with all of the details.
Nice. Okay.
But it's a really good program. Yeah.
I love that. And to qualify as a first-time home buyer, remind me, is it that you can't have owned a home in the last 3 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, technically, a lot of people could be first-time home buyers.
Yeah, I think that's a misconception that people think, well, I've never bought a home ever in my whole life. I'm a first-time home buyer. That's true.
That is true, yeah.
But if you haven't just owned a home in the last 3 years, which could be a lot of us with COVID and everything, maybe people moved back in with family during that time, and it's been time. Is that my North Carolina
That's your
coming
North
out?
Carolina.
Oh my goodness. I loved it though. It was so beautiful. But yeah, so you may have lived with your, say family or friends or something like that, and you haven't been a homeowner in the last 3 years, and now you can qualify under that program.
So you get your 3.5% down payment still, but that $20,000 grant, you can buy down the interest rate and closing costs. So it's kind of nice.
So one thing I wanted to talk about before we get going here and let everybody get on with their week is home staging.
yeah.
You've heard of home staging, I'm sure. It's become a really big thing now.
Oh, yeah.
But back in 2005, when I first was trained, I went to California actually. There were very few home stagers in this area. This market just wasn't. It was barely kind of hitting the scene on HGTV and those type of shows. My very first listing as a realtor was my own home in the Sugar House area, a little bit west of Sugar House. And it was on the market. It was vacant. I wasn't living there anymore, but I'd put new carpet, new paint, you know, it was looking good. But it was vacant, and within 2 months of having it listed, it had 2 offers that were just really lowball offers, and I was very, very frustrated. And so I started looking into what I could do to get it to sell faster and for more money.
Yeah.
And home staging was just kind of, like I said, coming onto the scene. I went and just not even really knowing what I was doing, I brought in some furniture, just kind of made everything, you know, staged. I mean, it's a common thing now, but it wasn't back then.
Yeah.
And then I took it off the market. I relisted it as soon as I had it staged. I had already done a $10,000 price reduction, which makes me so sad that I didn't really know about the staging prior to that. I put it back on at that same price, $10,000 lower than the original price. And it sold within 2 days. It was under contract for full asking price.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and the only different thing that I did was bring in furniture and stage it properly.
I will say, even, you know, I have looked at houses before. I was in a time in my life where I was looking to buy a house, and I think something that I really appreciated about some of the houses I looked at is the ones that were vacant, I was more like, ooh, this place is haunted. Like, I don't want to live here. It is scary.
Well, you couldn't picture yourself in
and
it, right?
You cannot picture that as your home. Versus some of the houses I looked at, they were furnished, they were decorated. I don't know if, you know, someone was living there or not, but it made it feel a little bit more homey, and it was like, oh, I could see myself doing this or this and this. Like, it definitely makes a difference.
And especially when you're looking, that's a really good point, because when you're looking at multiple homes, you really need something to bring you through the whole house, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so staging kind of helps that. And so after I had that kind of mild success with my own home, I actually found Barb Schwarz, she's from Washington State, I believe. She was doing a training in California, and she kind of coined herself as the creator of home staging at the time. And stagedhomes.com was her company. I went to California, the Bay Area, and we did a 2-day training on this where we did a classroom training, and then we actually went out with this group and staged a home. And I just came back with a whole lot of, you know, knowledge, and my world opened up a little bit about things. And ever since then, since 2005, I've used that in my real estate practice as an added benefit to the listing clients that I work with, and it makes the difference. And really, if your house is already furnished, it's for little to no extra cost. I mean, there's some effort. You're going to pack some things away that you don't necessarily need, but the whole idea is you're planning on moving and selling your house for top dollar in a reasonable time frame.
Yeah.
So if you pack things away, it kind of even helps create that energy of moving, and you know, especially even just moving furniture pieces a little bit when necessary. You're going to vacuum behind places that you probably haven't vacuumed.
Yeah.
It really does create a difference in the energy in your home. And if you're not working with me, if you're working with another realtor, ask them about it, because some realtors will hire stagers if they're not comfortable or they don't have time to do the staging or help you with that as much. They may hire somebody for you. I mean, I just would never, ever recommend listing a home without some degree of staging. But the other reason I think why some realtors don't focus on staging as much is they aren't necessarily comfortable saying we need to do some things with your home to get it to be presented to the widest range of buyers, to create the most excitement about your home from minute one when it goes on the market. A lot of times it's been on the market a while, and maybe they get feedback that it needs to be staged, but you've already kind of wasted those really precious first couple weeks on the market. And it's really understandable because it's hard to detach yourself from something that you've put a lot of hard work and spent time in and made memories in. It's really hard to detach yourself a little bit from that.
Yeah, 100%.
And you know, as a realtor, you want to make sure that obviously you're representing and you're doing what your client wants, but it's also your obligation to make sure that they have all that information and have those tools in their toolbox to get their home out there and present it in the best possible light to maximize the sales price and sell it in the fastest amount of time possible based on what their goals are. And that is a wrap.
That is a wrap.
Cha-ching.
Dollar bills, y'all.
I know we need a theme song. Okay, let me stop this. And then the other thing I just want to get my, oh my gosh, girl, this is going to be the best.
I'm so awkward.
And this is SLC. No, it's not.
And cut.
That was stupid.
No.
We are so excited.
we are really excited.
We're excited. You better be excited with us. Come on, good show. Lord.
Well, okay.
It is going, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, older people.
Hold on.
By older, do you mean like 48?
No, it's about elderly.
So 49.
So 46 and above. No, but
actually, let me. I'm gonna have a fit now because I'm such a star. Don't look at me. I don't like to be looked at this early in the morning.
Don't look at me.